weren't recording any audio. Trick or treat!
Trick or treat!
Halloween arrives with a surprise twist. Please, 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 please stay with us and I will explain all of this, maybe, kind of, sort of.
And more.
You won't want to miss this, okay?
Stay tuned for a sneak peek into the astrology of the week of 1029 and what it could mean for you, personally and creatively. Welcome to our podcast YouTube channel for daily-astrocat.com.
Hey, if you like our energy and our vibe, please like this video. Follow us and hit the bell for notifications. Share this with your like-minded friends.
Visit our website. The link is in the notes below. You can listen to a short-form daily forecast on the media player there or anywhere you get your podcasts.
All right. Hey, beautiful friends. Thank you all for joining us. Welcome to the Lunar Weekly Astrocat Preview. It's time to concentrate and maybe focus.
Intentions set are intentions well met.
I'm Shane Terrell Jensen. I'm an astrologer, and I like to interpret the daily influences of the moon on us and our environs against the backdrop of modern Western astrology.
And I'm Carrie Jensen. I'm a kitchen witch, co-conspirator to this guy, songstress, and neurospicy nerd for all things New Age. Now let's get things started.
Last week, I began with a music festival. With the eclipse gone by, that image is just a memory now. Some of us have video clips on our phones to prove we were there. Others may prefer to remain in that moment, okay? They eschew the role of documentarian, I've got to take a picture of the whole concert to prove I was there, in favor of remaining in the moment. All right.
Well, that was last week, going on about memories of the feels of last week. But this week is the beginning of a new cycle. For some, it's a new year.
Indeed, and as much as I'd like to compartmentalize all these things, all these weeks into little microcosms, there's a strong tendency, and believe me, I have a strong tendency to do that, and we all kind of have a strong tendency to do that. We're just like,
compartmentalize,
it's another week, all right? The reality is that we're dealing with a flow that threads continuously through the cosmos, like that eclipse last week is going to just be going all the way through to the next eclipse cycle. That's the way that works. So, look, it's the continuity of that expression that I'm talking about, just that expression of the eclipse energies of the two eclipses that were both in Venus-ruled signs, that it's going to carry through, and that's going to make us want to really keep an eye on Venus for the next coming, at least 6 months, okay? And we started that new petal of Venus back in June, I think that was July, right? It might have been June. I think it was July, though. The new petal of Venus was in July.
Yeah, it was
so
July.
We have to, we're watching that stuff, okay? Venus does wear Fibonacci. Just keep an eye on it. All right? And here's where everyone can really go off the rails, okay? If we don't remember the experiences we had, how can we change the soul level baseline that we're at and grow, okay? If we don't add on to our CV per se, or our resume for Americans out there, how are we going to project this image of growth? How are we actually going to grow? It's not an image we're projecting. We're actually growing at this level. And when do we grow? You remember those soul rings we talked about during the weekly that form on your, that can form on your soul like a tree ring, that growth? This is where that growth is added onto that node. As these planets pass that south node, and the eclipse just happened with the sun at that, passing that node and then casting the shadow. So, and that leads me to want to talk about Saturn.
All the growth stuff, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people who wouldn't want to have this discussion because Saturn is considered a major malefic, the major malefic. Mars is the cute other badass malefic in astrology.
Well,
he's cute because he's small in comparison.
Well, definitely, Mars is very small as a planet. The astrologer Rick Levine says that there's no such thing as a bad planet, like a malefic or something like that. Sure, it can have a bad thing, or a bad placement. It just depends on your perspective, right? And I very much agree with that sentiment.
Yeah, amen to that. Same here.
Let's talk about Saturn. Saturn is the Roman god of agriculture and wealth. He's the brother of Janus, and Ops. There's a brother and a sister. Okay, so the Ops is a female. That sickle is kind of making a bit more sense now, huh? The father time thing and
The
all
reaping,
that stuff.
yes.
Yeah, you know.
Agricultural connotations.
Agricultural connotations. The planet Saturn is composed mostly of hydrogen and helium. If it had more mass, it would definitely be a star because that's what the star's composed of.
Very
Saturn
interesting.
is famous for its tremendous ring system, and it doesn't have just one moon, or not even 10 moons, okay? How many moons does Saturn have, Carrie?
146 freaking moons. The NASA website states that Saturn is well represented in pop culture and goes on to cite a few movies that feature Saturn, like one of which was Beetlejuice. Saturn was the home of the sandworms, right?
Oh, you don't like sandworms? I don't like sandworms. Compadres.
Yes.
Simpatico.
Saturn's an important part of the Cthulhu mythos, too. Here's a direct quote from NASA, going back to the NASA stuff. Saturn is also the namesake of Saturday, arguably the best day of the week. Science humor.
It's a knee slapper, right? All right. Saturn is big. It's big.
How big?
9 times the size of the Earth, or 36,183.7 miles in diameter.
Wowzer.
Yeah, I guess that's a size 36 in Planet Pants.
Planet Pants.
NASA sums it up like this, okay? If Earth were the size of a nickel, Saturn would be the size of a volleyball. What do you know?
That is an excellent visualization. I'm so glad they put it in such common context like that. I like that a lot.
And Saturn is also a distance of 9.1 AUs, astronomical units from the sun.
Well, I was going to say the astronomical units
I
part
know
like
you
you
were.
told me before. My goodness. The Earth, for example, is 93 million miles from the sun, and that is 1 AU, or astronomical unit. Saturn is 846 million miles away from the sun.
That's right. So that makes Saturn, roughly, about 720 million miles from Earth. But you can still see it with your naked eye out in the night sky.
Yeah, so no wonder why Saturn practically could have been a star.
Saturn's rings are a prominent feature. The rings are only 30 feet in diameter. Think about that. And extend out from the planet some 175,000 miles. They are lettered in the order of their discovery. They range from tiny, teeny particles of sand, like grains of sand, to very large particles. It could be the size of a house or perhaps a mountain, okay? Just going around Saturn.
There's such a huge difference in like trying to wrap your head around like Earth perspectives of things, but you know when you're in the context of the cosmos and everything has so many more variables.
Well, the hard thing to really picture is like the size of the rings. You know, those rings that are around are only 30 feet high.
Yeah.
Why? Why didn't they scatter and just blanket the planet? You know, like go all around, like satellites going around the Earth or something. Why are they just in one stationary part going around?
Are they tucked into each other to stay warm? Like, what's going on there?
I don't know, but, you know, these rings.
The rings are thought to be smashed moons, failed comets, and other random rocks that may have been pulled into Saturn's orbit. It's kind of rocky, icy materials, and each ring, this is crazy, has a different orbital velocity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they have a definite distinct shape, and they don't blur either. You can see concentric rings. Yeah, they don't mix.
They don't mix or
like
mingle.
That. Nope.
Funny.
Nope. Now, Saturn takes 29.4 Earth years to orbit the sun. That's almost a generation. In 7 years, Saturn will traverse 3 signs in your chart. There's that number 7.
Like the 7-year itch, huh? A desire for change. Or maybe how we just become completely, technically different people every 7 years. Our cells have been swapped out for new ones, right?
Well, interestingly enough, Vedic astrologers, here goes a rabbit hole, just warning you, okay, associate the number 7 with the south node or Ketu. Vedic astrologers are not fond of the nodes, and Ketu is portrayed as a body without a head.
Without a head? Then what's with the head? Is the head of the dragon just the head?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, I think it is. I think it's just the head. It's the head of the demon, okay?
Well.
There's a story that involves churning an ocean of milk where the elixir of life is extracted. So it's like God butter, right?
It's God butter.
It's God butter.
It's God butter.
God butter. What do you want on your toast?
I can't.
I'm having God butter.
I can't.
I'm having God butter. All right? So there's this demon sitting with the gods. It's like, yo, I'm going to get some God butter. So, I'm tired of getting parquet or whatever the heck he's having to eat, Olivia or Land O'Lakes margarine. No, I want God butter. Okay.
What happened to not name dropping with the... name dropping, the other thing.
Promoting?
Yeah.
That's not promoting. He doesn't want that. He wants God butter. Now, if there's such a thing out there as God butter, then, pay me. But other than that, he didn't want none of that other stuff, okay? He wanted God butter. And this stuff is actually called Amrita. And the Ashura, which is the little guy that was sitting there in line with all the little gods going, feed me, God butter, it was Svarbhanu, okay? And this kind of like ticked somebody off. And they took a chakra, which is a discus, believe it or not, and threw it at him and cut his head off. But since he was immortal because he ate God butter, he exists in the north node and south node of the sky. All right, so... Stranger than myth, right? Myths are stranger than fiction. All right. So,
the strangest of fiction.
I'm going to take my heart chakra and no, it's just a discus, okay? It's just a chakra, I guess, is another word for ring. I may be wrong. I may be right.
Makes me think of Xena. I can't.
Well, it was Shiva that saw it and was like, you shall not have God butter. But it was a female version of Shiva, so it was just like, so you could be Xena. You greedy little demon, unhand that God butter. That's my God butter. All right, so let's get back to Saturn, okay? Because since we're going to truly be out of our league here with Amrita and God butter and Shiva and all that stuff, this is not a Vedic astrology
show. He literally
show.
Just decided this is God butter too. Like, I don't know where this came from.
So, a day on Saturn is only 10.7 Earth hours. That's pretty fast. You can feel that wind whipping through your hair as you're spinning on the planet. Like, whoa, is the day over yet?
I don't think you'd be feeling much if you were on Saturn. I think you'd be part of those dust particles out there.
Oh, you never know. But I'm just saying, just picture it. You get your, it'd be one of those things where you're out in the wind and it's going around that fast. And it's like, whoa, this is fast.
Yeah.
All right. So, let's say you're in a Saturn suit. You could do this, okay? But you still have it open so you can go in the wind, all right? But then you'd be dust, wind, dude. Good. Anyway, this is rather fast for a planet this size, but believe it or not, Jupiter is even faster.
Yeah, there's a...
Now, Saturdays, yep. So Saturday, think about it, Saturday's only 10 hours. That would suck.
10-hour Saturday.
10-hour Saturday.
What
it's
the
like
heck?
all the rest of the days of the week are the same, but no, we're going to have a 10-hour Saturday.
Saturday, you get screwed.
What? Sometimes it feels like that, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does.
You look around and you go, what did I do today?
There are not enough hours in the day. What the heck? Maybe Saturn really is only 10 hours.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, so Saturn's 146 moons. That's a nutty amount of moons. That's another thing I'm curious about now. What's the deal?
Well, I don't really know too much about that. There's a lot of objects in the solar system. So there's 146 and Saturn said, get over here, and whipping around. Now you're my moon. What do you think about that now? Now you're my moon. You're going to rotate around me. All right. Everything revolves around me.
It's got an entire harem of moons.
Saturn has a gravitas. It's all about me. Okay, so all the moons are there.
Well,
it's 146 of them, and it's like, oh yes, just orbit, just go around. And my rings. All right. Anyway.
Is Saturn really like that, though?
You just don't know, do you?
I guess not.
Don't know. You don't know until you just know. And then once you know, you know. Because Saturn is that limit. Saturn's like, no, you're not getting away from me. Come back here. You will do the work for me. You will move my rings around. Maybe that's what moves the rings around. 146 moons. Think about it. They all have a job. Here, reach out and pull this ring. Oh, you pull this one a little faster. Oh, yes. Okay, good. No. Now,
Picturing moons in chains across a little desert of Saturn.
That's right, and they work. And someday they're going to be like, oh, yes, we're moving the moons. And what's the reward? Oh, you get to be part of me. Okay, anyway. Now, there's a lot of objects in the solar system, don't you think? Okay, think about it. I need a...
Yeah, there should be a ton, right?
I need a screen changer. Thank you. There's asteroids and other such items, and they're, and think about it. You go to the movies and stuff like that, and it's like, here, hide in the asteroid field. Whoa, whoo, and the rocks all come at you, and it's like, whoa, we dodged that one. Or there's the game Asteroid where you're shooting them, pew, 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 pew.
Or it's trying to escape into an asteroid belt to avoid a ship because you're a better pilot than you suppose the other pilot is.
You wrecked my pew, pew, pews. Pew, 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 pew. And they're like dodging and stuff. It's not like that, okay? These things are like, our asteroid belt is dispersed, okay?
Sparse.
Well, there's a lot of items in it. Trust me. It's not as dense or as concentrated as they would have you believe, though.
Yeah.
Not Hollywood with that big tumbling rock coming at you going, oh, we have to dodge this one. Oh, the space pirate's going to get me. Anyway, they are over a very wide area as well. There's 1,308,871 asteroids that somebody had to sit there and count. Now, who does this? I don't know. But they counted them. And they're probably still counting. Did I count that one twice? I would have never gotten to like 100 because I would have been like 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh wait, did I count that one? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh wait, I might have counted that one already.
I really hope they found the right person for that job. I hope the person that counted all of those asteroids enjoyed that. I'm sure they kept tallies of all things, and they're just, adding on a couple dozen at a time, or maybe one at a time. I don't know.
Maybe it was like somebody was just like, they're definitely 1,300,008.
Maybe they wrote a computer program to figure it out.
Maybe they did.
I don't
never
know.
Ceres, with a diameter of 329 miles wide, is one of them.
One of the asteroids,
It's the largest item in the asteroid belt. But if you take that whole asteroid belt and all of those 308,871 asteroids and put them all together, they're not even half of the mass of the moon. Our moon.
That's another mind-blowing fact.
Luna.
Our moon is dense as heck, guys.
Well, it's just
compared
that
to all the
material
other...
is spread out is what it is. If you take that and you break it up into a million pieces,
so the
it's
universe
just spread out between Mars and Jupiter in this belt.
So the universe is like styrofoam dust.
No. That's just in our solar system.
Compared to the moon.
That's our solar system.
Okay, our solar system has styrofoam dust.
Now, Saturn's moon, Titan, is the 10th largest object in the solar system. Jupiter's Ganymede is the largest moon. Now think about that. Saturn's moon, Titan, is the 10th largest object in the solar system. How many planets are there? 8. How many dwarf planets? Well, you count Pluto there, right? Titan is the 10th largest item. It's bigger than Mercury. Ganymede, Jupiter's moon, is bigger than Titan. That's bigger than Mercury, clearly, because it's bigger than Titan. And Titan has a diameter of 3,199 miles, and that is bigger than Mercury and 50% larger than the moon. Well, 50% larger, I'll take that deal. Both Titan and Enceladus, another moon of Jupiter, have organic compounds present. They found that out. They put a satellite up there in Cassini or something like that, went through there and was like, oh, look, there's compounds in here that are organic. What kind of organic compounds? We don't know, but what kind of germs could live out there? As we well know, just about anything could live out there, okay? They have mold growing on the space station on the outside of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's something. You put life somewhere, it's going to hold, okay? So now, Enceladus is a frozen liquid planet. Ooh, ice planet, Enceladus. But it has a heated core. There's geysers that erupt from the surface. Psh! And that's only two of Saturn's moons. Titan with its atmosphere of nitrogen, and Enceladus with its geysers of liquid whatever is in the middle of the planet. Goodness, it's like this gusher gum or something like that.
Gushers!
It just goes, shh, that refreshing spritz. Shake weight. All right. So anyway, there's 144 moons and probably counting. All right. So the origins. Okay. Now let's talk about.
To sum up,
we've talked about Saturn. So,
Oh, well, yeah, moving on to the more...
well, yeah, and we're and origins of Saturn, they're strange and hybrid to say the least. Believe it or not, Saturn, here's a good one for you. You're not going to believe this, is the lightest planet in the atmosphere, in the solar system.
Really?
If you had a bathtub that you could fit Saturn in, Saturn would float.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Saturn would float.
Saturn would float.
But Saturn's
That's the
gas.
density of Saturn.
Yeah, but Saturn's gas.
Exactly. But it has very little core to it and is mostly just the gas, and it would float if you had put it in a tub.
Saturn lighter than Venus then? Because isn't Venus mostly gas?
No, Venus is a rock planet.
Oh, Venus is a rock. Sorry.
Yes, all the inner planets, all the personal planets from Mars out from Mars. Mars is the last rocky planet. All the other planets are gas giants, except for Pluto. Pluto is a rocky planet. So Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, and Jupiter are all gas giants. All right.
So back to Saturn, you said it was kind of strange and hybrid origins, right? So how's a planet hybrid?
Well, one could argue that 146 moons could be one factor.
Well, yeah, that's for starters.
And then certainly the rings are just... how? like how?
So much ring bling.
I can't wrap my head around it. It's so much effing ring bling than all the other planets. It's like it was, like a rap act or something. Taskmaster ST in the space goat, featuring the Water Boy.
Featuring the Water Boy.
Yeah, because Saturn's also the head of Aquarius, so, the ruler of Aquarius. Oh. So there's the Water Boy there, and it definitely sounds like Water Boy would be using an auto-tuned vocal style.
Yeah, well, no. I think he's pouring out that picture.
You never know.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Usually they don't do that. They just do their auto-tune things, and Taskmaster STs on the tables.
Is the Space Goat playing the harp?
The Space Goat does not play the harp. Leave it alone, because it does not.
Goats playing harps.
No, that was last week's story with the lyre.
So this doesn't explain why Saturn's strange, though. I mean, clearly we haven't gotten strange enough with ghosts playing harps and all that. I think we're kind of strange.
Now, hey, look at it. So let's suppose that you had this god, and this god was pretty good at doing all his godly duties, except there was a couple drawbacks, okay? Like nobody really took it seriously or anything like that, and finally he has a kid, and the kid's like, hey, I want your job. And, after the kid deposes the good god, life on Earth is tough. There was a golden age when Saturn was doing his thing and, doing everything. But I digress. Now, people made up stories of this great deity, okay? According to Wikipedia, Saturn is the god of time, regeneration, dissolution, abundance, wealth, agriculture, and periodic renewal and liberation. And he was a chief god of early Rome. So now it makes you wonder, right? Who was there before the Romans, huh? Etruscans? Yeah, I think so. Now, is Saturn Saturn, or is Saturn something else? Is Saturn borrowed from other places? A lot of those deities and stuff like that are like that. Were the people who inhabited this part of Italy actually Italians, or did they come from other places because of the sea trade and everything like that? There are walls that are still standing in pre-Roman Italy, in a place called Latium, where Latin comes from, that would tend to indicate such a thing. These walls are called Cyclopean walls because they're massive blocks that are made with no mortar or anything, and it looks like giants put them in place, right? The Cyclops, they're giants, right? And they're very similar to ones that are found on Crete around the Palace of Knossos. And, hey, it's built by a race of one-eyed giants indeed, right?
This is getting crazier and crazier and bigger tangents upon tangents.
Well, if we go back to Greece, we get Kronos instead of Saturn. And Kronos is more than just a creepy time and attendance system. Okay?
Yeah, if you've had to use that before.
All
Kronos.
Right. Kronos is the Greek equivalent of Saturn, like I just said. He's a Titan, not the moon, but, an actual Titan. And he is the offspring of Uranus, heaven, and Gaia, Earth.
That's one I never knew.
Okay. He defeats Uranus, Kronos does, and rules over a golden age of peace and tranquility. So, between earth and sky, we bring this order, and that's where the agriculture and the rules and the good fortune and wealth and abundance come in, because once you farm the land, once you decide to take that land and tame it, this could be a metaphor for that, right? Moving from the hunter-gatherer state into a more civilized agrarian type of society, that's where everything settles down, and then we can start learning things. We have time to do things rather than go out and hunt and catch stuff or perish in the process.
Yeah, now that we're in a golden age, what does Saturn decide he needs to do? Like any happy time golden age would.
Well, you get you're fearful that that something's going to get done to you like you did to your old man, right? Oh, I castrated my father and then was able to rule in his stead. Okay, so he eats his children. All right, it's like, oh, children boy. All right, now his wife, Ops or Lua or whoever you want to look at.
Yeah,
there's a couple of them.
She isn't too thrilled with his latest culinary ventures.
Correct. So she slips a rock in place of Zeus, right? So, that's kind of a hard kid, eats the rock. And then, whoopsies, Jupiter is allowed to grow up. Zeus or Jupiter, you take your pick. And this is a Greek myth, so it's Zeus. And then he does the same thing to his father, demotes him, sends him off to Italy. Here, go be Saturn over there, okay? He then grows up to be a sky god, and sky gods, yes, I'm the man, I'm the sky god. And he follows in his father's footsteps. Yes, I got rid of my old man so I can be chief god.
This is nuts. So, just to recap, Uranus is the father of Saturn, and Saturn is the father of Jupiter. So, Saturn is Kronos, and what's the difference between Kronos and Saturn?
Well, I can answer that. Saturn was originally a Roman god that became a bit more Greek-like their entire pantheon. So as the Romans went out and discovered more Greek society, they incorporated more of the myths of the Greek gods into their own because they were already parallel to begin with. Gave them new names, and that's what we call the planets. Hermes is Mercury. Venus is Aphrodite. Mars is Ares, etc., etc., etc. Kronos, Zeus. All right, so now, how about I throw a curveball at you and say that it is plausible that this whole mythos idea between the Greeks and Romans is one convoluted thread that runs from the Middle East through Egypt to the Canaanites, which includes the Phoenicians, to Greece, and has overtones in the Judeo-Christian and Islamic religions.
Yeah, which you kind of got into later.
Well, gets into a realm called comparative mythology. And we don't have enough time for that rabbit hole, okay?
That's an enormous rabbit hole. Oh, boy.
Okay, so while this is fascinating...
Yeah, rabbit hole.
Saturn is none of those things.
None of what things?
None of anything that I just said.
Okay.
The planet Saturn in our chart is none of those things. It's something different. It's look.
Oh, as far as astrologically speaking.
Astrologically speaking, it is not. The planets are not exact reflections of the deities. Mercury is not Hermes. Venus is not Aphrodite. It's an ideal. It's formed around that. Look, if it were the gods, these planets, who knows what would be happening, right? The gods have foibles just as part of their construct, okay? Every one of them is flawed in a way. Zeus, he couldn't keep it in his robe, okay? Aphrodite couldn't keep hers on. Her robe, that is. The wife of Zeus, Hera, she was jealous beyond the pale. She was just like livid with every transgression he had.
Well, yeah, can you imagine?
And she'd take vengeance on everybody, because she's a goddess, so it doesn't matter. Oh, smite you. You're dead. Smite. Okay. Now,
kept her busy, I guess.
Now, there's some short answers. Yeah, that's a lot of smiting. All right. Now, take those connotations we may have listed for Saturn, okay? Think about it. There's earthy. There's wealthy. There's abundant. There's cyclical. There's seasonal, transitional, and in Saturn's case, he's of similar importance to Jupiter to the Romans. Okay? Saturn is of the heaven and earth. His son Jupiter is of the sky. Sounds like a Jimi Hendrix song, right? Neither of these two planets are creators. In both cases, they usurp their progenitors to gain their position. Huh. Who would have thought that, right? this is some very patriarchal shit, okay? This is the man. This is men saying, oh, here's my story. Okay, I'll deal with it. Look, Rome is not that old, period. Romulus is said, the founder of Rome, to have been fighting wars and stuff only since 752 BC. You know, think about it. By way of contrast, the older civilizations of Sumer and Egypt are 2,000 years older. Now, for me, if we go to preview all of this stuff, Saturn and Jupiter, for me, represent the patriarchy more than any other planet. Sure, Mars is male, and he's got the Austin Powers symbol on his chest and stuff like that, you know. Hey, baby! Oh, yeah. But rules, regulations, and the institutions that create and enforce them are overseen by both Jupiter and Saturn. And who has most of that power?
Men.
Yes, very good. Right on cue. I pointed. All right. The winter solstice appears at the beginning of the Capricorn season, which is ruled by Saturn. The shortest day is on the first day of the Capricorn season. Saturnalia is a Roman festival that occurred at this time of the year and is followed by Calends, which is associated with Janus. Remember, that's the brother of Saturn. In the Roman world, there's no Greek equivalent for him, okay? And this is where we get our word January from. In Rome, like I said, Janus is the brother of Saturn. He's considered to be the god of time, changes, arches, doorways, gates, and portals. And he's got two faces because he can see who's coming behind him, and he knows where he's going, or he knows where he's been and knows where he's going. There is no Greek equivalent for this. And I think we can see a bit of Uranus and Saturn in the brief discussion I just gave of Janus. All right?
All right. I think that's enough mythology for the day. Can we move along?
Maybe I'll try. Ptolemy and the ancient astrologers believed the planets influenced us through light. I got a new light up there.
Yeah.
Saturn, at the beginning of the Capricorn season, could be said to stop the days from getting shorter. This is the first limitation. Saturn is limiting.
Which can be a good thing.
Now think about it, though. Capricorn by itself is a female sign. So what kind of strange thing going on there do you think there is to make this most masculine of signs have a feminine feel to it at the beginning of that change of seasons? Is it balance? Is it something like that? Now, mind you, we're not talking about male versus female. We're talking masculine versus feminine and the energies that those things imply. By very virtue of our existence, Carrie has 2 X chromosomes. I have an X and a Y. If you put them together, there's 3 X's, which is maybe how you deal with the opposite sex, because 3 X's means alcohol. Maybe. Okay. It's a coping mechanism.
That's the Acme alcohol.
Or you can also look at it as being intertwined and just being together, because there's an understanding and there's a blending inside of the XY combination that takes that wisdom from the XX, because the XX goes deeper and the XY has all of that stuff. And that Y chromosome is what this stuff, the patriarchy, wants to try to grab onto. But there's nothing to grab. What's there to grab?
Now, I've gone down my own personal rabbit hole in the meantime, thinking about your question of the Saturn-Capricorn dynamic. And
okay.
It kind of makes me think about is Saturn as a power, as an utmost kind of thing in the patriarchy and everything. What if when he gets to the pinnacle of his power, he gets to a point where he's like, well, what is power? And it gets to that thing of there is what is the actual saying? There's power in like softness, sensitivity, that could very well be whole thing.
That could very, very well be. Now, think about it this way, though. That expression of Saturn that's actually masculine, I believe, is Aquarius. So now that goes outward, and that's that society. That's that golden society and everything like that.
Right.
The limitation is the female bringing it in and being like, no, you can't go that far. No, you can't go to that extreme. No, you have to keep this, keep it relevant. Keep talking to the people, okay? That's what we're looking at. So that's the first limitation. Saturn also has a karmic feel to it. Most people die in January than any other month. There's more people that do it, okay? In the Northern Hemisphere, it's darker and colder. You can't farm in the winter, can you?
Nope.
The folks that were good at making things and trading them to others had more time to do these things in this period.
Oh, you think maybe this is why Saturn's about careers and attainment?
Maybe it may be good to be the king, but how would a prosperous merchant be any different? Huh?
I don't know. It all still reeks of the patriarchy.
I kind of think so too. And, I want to work on a better way of expressing these things that Saturn represents. In fact, by writing this, it empowers me to go deeper and look at all these archetypes that the people, that other astrologers say that these planets represent, and actually rework them and then begin teaching these things.
Nice. The world certainly does need more teachers.
All right. So look, we're going to wrap this up real quick. Halloween is the week. Is in this week, and it's just after our powerful eclipse in Taurus. Keep an eye on Venus for the next 6 months, okay? We told you that at the beginning, but really, take a look at it. There's a surprising thing that's going to happen on Halloween. Not quite sure. Is it a trick or is it a treat? I'm not sure. But start doing exactly this and follow your Venus on Sunday into Monday. And Venus is actually creativity and togetherness. So,
Surprise on Halloween, huh?
Yes.
Well, the best day to keep track of all this is to follow us daily, because clearly we went into just completely mythology this whole weekly episode, giving all the background information on Saturn.
We certainly
all the
did.
digs on Saturn. So there are quite a few things to be accomplished this week.
Yeah, and most of them are pretty creative. Thursday in particular. The theme will be home and family. Now, you ready to get to work on that?
Home and family, yeah.
All right, so are you ready for some best days?
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
Okay, Carrie, what's the best day for love?
That is Friday. Somehow the feeling is going to be, I was born this way, now love me for who I am and what I can mean to you.
There you go. And the best day for business?
That's going to be Sunday. Get stuff done in the evening. Mercury and Mars can help you project, can help you see down the road and figure out what's going on. You need to boldly ask and boldly receive.
And what is the best day for health this week, Carrie?
Not this week. Keep up with your exercise, especially if you hit the candy.
And what's the best day for transformation?
That is gonna be the last day of the week, Saturday.
Saturn again.
Saturn is direct, and this is a powerful hand that can kind of feel like a hindrance, but it's actually quite helpful. It'll help us focus on the larger cycles and improve our ability to plan. I like that.
All right. Carrie and I had a conversation earlier. I was discussing seeing the moon on Friday night and thinking about how fortunate I am to be in touch with this natural cycle and honor her in my writing. My astrology is all about the collective and how we experience this energy as a group. As a
people.
As a group, as a people, as a in the collective.
Yeah.
It begins with the moon.
It's really cool how you're allowing the act of writing these things to just begin to transform your whole view of the world.
Well, thanks. But the earthly and the cosmic meet here on Earth. Interestingly, there's a Greek word for that has a strange double meaning.
Really?
Chthon is that word, and chthonic means of the earth. It can also mean under the earth.
Oh my God, here come more rabbit holes, because that sounds like Cthulhu. How Lovecraftian, right? So does that make Saturn Cthulhu too? Like, what the heck is going on there?
Hardly. Lovecraft's tales were about testing humans and our understanding of the world.
Sleeping under the earth, right?
These introduced us to an outer planet kind of cosmology. There's nothing personal about this mythos. Nothing. It's transpersonal. Cthulhu swats people like flies. Just boom, done.
Out of existence. Goodbye.
Out of existence, yes.
That's not eating his children?
No. We go beyond Saturn into the earthquakes that cause a dead city to rise up from the ocean floor. Earthquakes are Uranus, okay? This causes those who witness these events to question reality.
Which questioning reality is a Neptune thing.
Mm-hmm. And furthermore, it challenges the order of the world and threatens to consume it unless something can be done to possibly stop it.
That sounds very Pluto.
Yeah, except, usually in the Lovecraft tales, it just kind of like kicks the can down the road. It never resolves.
It's like the soap opera, the dun 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 leaves you hanging for the next episode. It leaves you uncomfortable and just pretty strange and different.
It can be, but is it really? Lovecraft's old gods may have been imprisoned and buried underground, but they are the stars. This reinforces my assertion that I made last week that the Earth signs can represent the entire cosmos. It's just a little
Earth,
through the Earth. It's
one little microcosm of
everything.
Yeah.
Saturn may be limiting, but his brother Janus is a gateway and a portal. He's also called the beginning and the end. And that's all I have. That's all we got for you. Happy Astro Week. Have a happy Astro Week.
Happy Astrocatting.
Didn't work.
Totally didn't work. Something